Hey there, my name is Alex, I am the Silvermont, and this is my review of Smash Bros. Ultimate on the Switch. This review isn't sponsored, I bought the game myself because I was a big fan of Smash Bros. When I was a kid. Didn't play much of Brawl or the one after that, Smash 4 for Wii U and 3DS, but the first two I put an absurd amount of time into when I was younger. If you don't know what it is, Smash Bros. Is a long-running 2D fighting game that differed from things like Street Fighter in that it was more of a party game. The stages played a large role in gameplay, items could spawn in, and 4 players could duke it out at once. Although these days you can get up to 8 players. But perhaps the main draw here is that Smash Bros. Was an all-star crossover game. You could play as Link and bop Pikachu on the head. A lot of famous Nintendo characters show up. In the original game we had something like 12 characters if I'm not mistaken. In Smash Ultimate we have over 70, including crossover characters like Mega Man, Sonic the Hedgehog, Solid Snake, and so forth. The premise of the game is very simple. Unlike most fighting games wherein you drain an enemy's health to win, in Smash Bros you have to smash a bro. The more damage you do to an enemy, the further you'll be able to send them flying with your smash attacks, and when you knock them off the screen, you win. Another way it differs from other fighters is in the controls. Unlike the Dragon Punch QCF style inputs many fighting games use, Smash Bros has extremely simple controls. If you want to do a special attack, you just press B or B and a direction. It's a fun and easy game to pick up, but some players enjoy taking it to a more serious or competitive level, turning off random elements such as items, stage hazards, and fighting 1v1. It's easy to get into, but hard to master. And that low barrier of entry, but high skill ceiling, is what keeps it interesting to a wide variety of players. So how well does Smash cater to these different player wants? There's quite a few modes. Let's start with the single player. You have Classic mode, which is akin to Arcade mode in many fighters. You pick your character, fight through around 6 stages, then you aim for a high score at the end. There's also the new Adventure mode, which is the nearest this game has to a story mode. You move around a giant board fighting in many different themed battles. This is the new single player element of Smash Ultimate, Spirits. Effectively, Spirits are stickers of characters from different games that you equip to your character to achieve various bonuses, such as starting with an item, dealing more damage but taking more damage, or making you immune to certain things. It's a very light RPG set of mechanics, and it can be used in the Adventure mode and optionally in Smash battles, but you can't use them online. Outside of this, you have training to hone your skills. So how about the multiplayer modes? Well, we have the Smash mode wherein you can set up any sort of battle with a large selection of rules to modify, depending on your preferences and the number of players. There is local wireless and then online as well. When we get into online, there's only 2 real options to start out with: Quick Play and Arena. Quick Play is simple enough. You pick a character and it finds you a match. You can specify your preferred rules as well, but there's no promise you'll get into a match with rules that match those. As for Arena, that's more like what you'd find in something like Dragon Ball FighterZ or other recent games. You host an arena with a set of rules, which people can join, spectate battles, wait their turn, and so forth. For example, I like making a team battle arena, 2v2, then I have my friend join, and then we fight against strangers who also join and form their own team. Online is limited to 4 players, but I believe offline you can get up to 8. There's also a co-op mode, where you and another player on the same console can face off against people online. Outside of these modes, you have things like the Vault, wherein you can check on your collection, sound clips, buy items with gold that you get for doing basically anything in the game, and so on. At a glance, the modes don't leave me wanting, but how do I feel about them? Well, my main issue would be with the Adventure mode, which I feel is a missed opportunity. One of the most entertaining things about crossover titles, such as this, are the character interactions, and there is absolutely none of that in Smash Bros. Ultimate, outside of the recycled content from prior games. Snake's codex and Palutena's guidances. For the most part, outside of in battles, characters are mute and do not speak to each other or even interact with each other. It's not like Wolf will say, "Flock off, Featherface," to Falco, or Samus will have like a fit of conniptions when she notices Ridley. The adventure mode has a cutscene to start and finish it, but other than that, not really anything. Brawl's Subspace Emissary was a little bizarre, but the numerous cutscenes were charming. If you ask me, the game would benefit from a story mode akin to something you would find in like a Blaze Blue or another fighter like that. Even if it's largely text segments between battles, if producing that many cinematics is too much effort. It feels like a waste to have this huge roster of characters and they do not interact with each other at all. As for the roster, well, I've never had many complaints or many requests for Smash Bros, with a few exceptions. For starters, I feel like a Belmont rep should have been in since Melee at the latest, and it's crazy to me that we're only now getting one in 2018. Next up, I'm sick of Fire Emblem reps. Considering Fire Emblem is the third most repped franchise, you would imagine maybe it's the third best selling franchise for Nintendo, or the third most popular. Right? Wrong. It's not just that there are a lot of Fire Emblem characters either, it's that Marth, Roy, Lucina and Chrom are barely distinguishable from one another. Miss me with that nonsense. But for the most part, the roster is good. There's a lot of characters and I'm sure everyone can find at least 2 or 3 characters they'll enjoy. New to this entry are Echo Fighters, which are, well, clones. But what classifies as an Echo Fighter appears to be entirely arbitrary, so I'm not entirely sure what the point of the term is. Richter is an Echo Fighter of Simon and they appear to be identical other than some different sort of visual changes. But then Ken isn't an Echo Fighter of Ryu? No, wait, Ken is an Echo Fighter of Ryu, but there are changes beyond merely visual. But then Pichu isn't an Echo Fighter of Pikachu, and Roy isn't an Echo of Marth, but Chrom is an Echo of Roy? Or Lucina? It doesn't really make sense. They just seem to decide this one's an Echo Fighter because this one isn't. Doesn't really make any sense, and they should have skipped that whole thing entirely. It just sounds like a way for them to say, oh, it's not a clone, it's an Echo Fighter, that's okay. I don't know what the point of the term is. There's a DLC season pass adding 5 more fighters too, one of which is a Persona character. As for the rest, well, we'll have to wait and see. Who would I put in? I don't know. Lara Croft, Hayabusa, Arthur from Ghouls and Goblins, Ghosts and Ghouls, Goblins and Ghosts, that thing, and Jill Valentine. How about that? I don't know. But I don't really care who they put in at this point, as long as it's not more Marth clones. F-Zero and Metroid could use some love as well. How about the gameplay? Well, it feels better than Brawl, which had a much slower and deliberate pace than Melee, but my main reason for saying that is you don't randomly fall over in this one. I've barely played Smash 4 and I honestly don't remember much about it, despite owning it on both the Wii U and the 3DS, but overall this one feels relatively close to what I remember that one feeling like. It seems to be using that one as a base from which to build, I believe. There are some balance issues for sure, and people are saying the online is giving them a lot of trouble. Personally, I've been playing it with a lot of Americans, so a bit of lag is to be expected, but it hasn't been anything atrocious, and I've had maybe 1 disconnect from quick play. How about the presentation and visuals? Well, Smash Bros has the challenge of trying to find a unifying style for a dozen different games, and to its credit, I think it did a good job. It runs at 60 FPS, which is the important part. Whether in docked or portable, the performance seems stable enough to me. If there are dips in the frame rate, they aren't something I noticed. It's a nice looking game with satisfying feedback and gameplay, and the music selection is great. There's hundreds and hundreds of tracks here which you can create playlists out of and adjust the frequency of. You've got a lot of options to customize it to your liking. If you're a Smash Bros fan, I'd say you'll Well, you probably already own the game. If you have a Switch, I'd say pick it up at some point. But is it worth getting a Switch for just for this? Personally, I'd say no. I mean, if you live with like 3 other people who also really enjoy Smash, then sure. Unfortunately, even though the game is bigger and better than ever, I don't think we'll ever quite have the magic of 64 and Melee back. You might say that is nostalgia, and you might be right, but in these days of internet leaks and data mining, a lot of the charm is lost. You're not going to get that crazy experience of unlocking a completely unexpected and perhaps even unknown character, because the entire roster was known weeks before release in official info. It's a very nebulous thing to critique a game on, I understand, and it's not really a huge criticism or anything, it's just something that is affecting my personal enjoyment. In a game like this, I feel that is part of the charm. For Ultimate, we knew every character, there's no interactions between those characters. It all feels a wee bit sterile to me, but overall it's a fun game and I'm enjoying it. Oh yeah, and just to touch on controls very briefly, GameCube controller works on this game and it's as good as ever. I would argue it's the best way to play. Still, if you've been holding off on getting a Switch, but you were on the fence, I can't think of anything better than Smash to push you over that fence. Or should I say, smash you over the fence? No, I shouldn't. Either way, if you have any questions, ask them down below and I'll get back to you ASAP. And hey, if you have the game, let me know what you think of it so far. Favourite character? Most hated character? Most annoying spirit battle? Well, I'll tell you, I hate all the Star Fox characters. I wish they would go away. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you real soon. Ciao.
Don't